Good morning. We are in Trastevere. I'm gonna pull my mask down so you can hear me better. So, usually when we bring you to Trastevere on our tours, we talk, we explain things, we tell you about history of this place. And of course, we always tell you that the best time to see Trastevere is at night. It's full of people, full of life. The streets are busy, restaurants and bars are packed, clubs are packed, and of course this is the place to be if you love the nightlife. But as you all know, we are just recovering from our last lockdown, and the city is under curfew, so we're not allowed to go anywhere, and some coffee shops are not even allowed to operate past 6. We cannot sit inside, we cannot eat inside, it all has to be takeout or delivery. And Trastevere right now, it's 10 o'clock in the morning, is pretty empty. So let's not talk, let's just walk the streets of Trastevere and see the sights and hear the sounds. Alright? Trastevere is famous for the posters, and Romans actually have always been pretty open to discussion or expressing their opinions. So we have these posters printed on paper, usually of course all biodegradable and clean, safe, green, whatever you want to call it, disappears within a couple of weeks. As you can see, as you will see this morning, most of the shops are closed, and unfortunately some will never reopen. The most essential stores, of course, and businesses never closed, and so you can see the pharmacy, for example, of course, something that we all need, especially at the time of a pandemic. Restaurants are going through a very, very rough patch right now, together of course with hospitality, all hospitality and tourism industry, but we're hoping for the best, always. Santa Maria della Scala. Many churches in Trastevere, many churches in Rome, of course all worth your time.
anche se sono là. Quindi devi stare o anni a pranzo come non può venire nessuno. Ah, adesso cazzo. No, adesso quello, perché prima perché doveva stare una persona. Adesso non può venire nessuno. Perché io non sono andato a novembre. A novembre una cosa così, l'ho portata quella da 90 euro, ha fatto così. E la terza volta è 30 euro, perché non tutto il punto.
Vicolo del Cedro. Vicolo del 5.
Ma Matteo aprivi se c'era la competenza.
Assumption of Virgin Mary, 18th century. Piazza di San Egidio. Monte Carmelo. Another church. You see, just 2 steps away from the previous one. The statue of Christ. Covered in shroud. You can see the wounds, of course, the stigmata. It's called Homeless Jesus. Now this is something unusual, of course. And here we have a museum of Roman Trastevere. All museums are presently closed in orange zones, and Rome just happens to be in an orange zone. Yellow zone. I mean, it's so confusing right now. There are 4 zones in theory: white, yellow, orange, and red. White exists only on paper so far because, of course, people are still getting infected, and there has to be, you know, a drop in infections to open white zone, or to declare a zone white and free of COVID. So Lazio was in a yellow zone up until a couple of days ago, and now we are in orange. So museums are still closed. Yeah, you always want to see what it looks like on the inside. And here we have a tiny narrow staircase, and you can see an ad. 56 square meter for 1,200 euros a month. So that's a tiny apartment for a huge price. Via della Paglia. So all over Trastevere you see this sign. This signs Villa Farnesina. Affreschi di Raffaello. Villa Farnesina, of course, is a beautiful summer home of the rich. And some rooms and corridors were decorated by Raphael. And we are at the back of Santa Maria in Trastevere.
Adesso tra poco mi scende, grazie. Buongiorno, buona giornata.
Piazza di Santa Maria in Trastevere. And of course the church of Santa Maria in Trastevere, or Saint Mary in Trastevere. Absolutely gorgeous inside and out. Let's see if we can go in. It's so unusual to be a tourist in your own city, but it's a right thing to do. It's a good thing to do once in a while. You see, the vestibule of the church is decorated with tombstones dating back probably as far as 3rd century, 4th century. You know, as I say very often, and of course those of you who ever book tours with us, you know that we can gather a staggering amount of information from tombstones alone. We have names, professions, origins of people, last names. Thanks to the tombstones, we know that Romans traveled all over the world. I mean, just like people travel now. We have mixed families, mixed couples, you know, of different origins. And thanks to these tombstones, we know all this. We have all this proof, you know, all this information. So this is just gorgeous. And the church had undergone many slight modifications and restorations and of course repairs. And according to the local legend, Trasteverini, or the inhabitants of Trastevere, residents of Trastevere, were famous for their bullies, bulli di Trastevere, the bullies, the thugs, who would basically rob the rich and share with the poor. And according to this legend, to the Trasteverean legend, those who wanted to get back on the right way could apologize, confess, repent, and hang their weapons, which were usually, knives and clubs and things like that, on the walls of the vestibule of Santa Maria in Trastevere. But then, according to the same legend, most of them would come back at night, take their weapons, rob and steal, and bring them back in the morning. So apparently it was not working. It's a nice legend though. And in the 19th century they excavated a pretty large catacomb complex here in the neighborhood, and part of this catacomb complex was underneath the church. And we think today that probably this church had originated as a private home, which was used as a place of worship by locals. And later on, the church, of course, was built directly upon the ruins of this home, as it happened many times in Rome. And these tombstones, some of them still complete, and of course some of them in fragments, were discovered in this very catacomb complex. Now let's go in. What a beautiful sight. What a beautiful church. The chairs are distanced. The pews are gone. This is Santa Maria di Trastevere. Absolutely gorgeous church. Cosmatesque design floor, all mosaic floor, of course. This is a fun, or maybe not so fun, fact about Roman architecture, is that everything was constantly recycled, repurposed, reused. So as you look at this marble, and here we have some of the most expensive kinds of marble and some of the rarest kinds of marble. We have green, purple, black. They do not come, this marble does not come from the quarries, but rather from ancient imperial and even republican buildings of Rome that had been demolished and the building materials recycled. Beautiful baldachin, supported by porphyry columns. The image of Christ. And a beautiful apse, mosaic and fresco combined. Another fun fact, and actually, as you visit Roman churches, I always suggest to everyone to look at the columns, because at the first sight they all look the same, they all look alike, okay, as you can tell. But then as you look closely at the shafts, as well as the capitals, as well as the foundations or bases, they're all different. Materials are different as well. That means these columns had not been carved for this particular or specific location, but rather recycled. And some of them date back to the early Republican or early or late imperial buildings. It's a beautiful nave. One central nave and two side aisles. Of course, important churches like this have been home to the tombs of the most prominent Roman families. The family tombs are called chapels. And the bigger the church, the more chapels there are. And we're back in the Piazza, in the square of St. Mary in Trastevere. And of course, for those of you who know Trastevere and love Trastevere and come to Trastevere often, you know that this is not what it usually looks like. I mean, this place is the center, this place is the heart of Trastevere. That's where Trasteverini and Romani come to meet and talk and have coffee and drink and smoke a cigarette. And of course, all these restaurants, you guys know that they all have the chairs and tables out, and they're very colorful and loud and lively, and people trying to pull you in and sell things to you, and now it's almost dead. Now this place is called Vicolo dell'Arco di San Callisto, and of course again we see posters on the walls. Again, all this will disappear in a few days and new ones will appear. Of course, our little stroll and our little video would not be complete without a little nasone. And most of you guys, you know why we call them nasoni, because the water spout is called, looks like a big nose, alright? So that's nasone. The Romans say, nasone. And I'll show you a little trick how to drink it. You wash it first. Okay, very carefully. And the water is, by the way, safe to drink. And then you just plug it and drink from here. Alright? Not from here, but there. Little trick. Fianarolli is the name of the street. Piazza Santa Rufina, Ospedale San Gallicano. Just sometimes it's hard to imagine that people have been living here for at least 2,000 years. Of course, over 2,000 years. Constantly rebuilding, constantly building new houses on top of the old houses or on top of the ruins of the old houses. So of course it's very hard to find real ancient Trastevere, but for most of us this is still ancient. I mean, 15th century, 16th, 17th, 18th century is ancient. Ivy everywhere. And of course, guys, you know what it looks like and how it looks, how green it is in summertime. It's a completely different picture. And this is the main street of Trastevere. This is Lungaretta. Now this little side street is called Vicolo della Torre, and this is the place where most of you like to stop and take a few pictures. Typical Roman scenery. You see someone, you hear someone working, someone maybe building or fixing something. There are tiny shops within the walls of many houses here. The shops that you would never see if you don't know where to look. Of course, the spaces are minuscule and people manage to establish their little shops, hardware stores, paint shops, and of course countless bars and restaurants and coffee shops. And this is why we love Trastevere. This is what Rome looked like 50 years ago, 60 years ago, 100 years ago, 200, 300 years ago, except of course for the street lights and cars. Everything else remained almost the same. This red Fiat truck looks so familiar to so many of you. This is the mascot of local restaurant, and it's always parked here. I'm not even sure it moves. And it's always here. Via della Fonte d'Olio. As you can see, most of the bars are closed. They just can't afford to open with the current rules in place. Chilling. Santo Diego, of course, Maradona, which is not really important, who's not important for Romans, but of course Neapolitans and Argentinians passed away just recently.
E poi dopo quando ho sentito male perché ho ricordato come suo ragazzo in situazione.
Vicolo del piede.
Vabbè, adesso sì, ci stanno altre cose che sono più importanti.
Hotel Santa Maria. Leave a comment if you ever stayed in this hotel. Looks pretty. Looks really pretty. Really tucked away. Green. Pasta e vino. Pasta and wine. That would be nice right now. Takeaway only. Da Corrado. Takeaway only.
Magari quello ti dà pure i soldi per l'affitto, quindi conviene pure. Ci conviene pure.
Little house for sale. wonder how much it would cost in the heart of Trastevere. Take the number, call them. Let's follow the dog, see where it takes us. Doing its own business. Another side street, Vicolo del Bologna. And this is one of my favorite side streets here, back alleys of Trastevere, mainly because of this beautiful creature growing here, climbing all the way to the top of this house. Beautiful. Summertime, of course, is gorgeous. It's not that clean here, but it's still very, very charming. And there is a restaurant here on the left side. Usually they have at least 6 tables outside, but of course now they're not allowed to seat anyone inside or outside here. This is Dar Poeta, and of course they claim to have the best pizza in Trastevere. You know, might be the true, might not be the case, but you know, the staff is pretty friendly and food is okay, I would say. And then here we have another square, which is more of a backyard or courtyard, I would say. And it's really green all year long, all sorts of trees. It's a pretty place here. Of course, for those of you who don't know, more than half of these apartments are B&Bs and Airbnbs, and they're empty. Right now they're empty. Again, tourism industry has suffered a massive loss, and no one knows when it's gonna end, of course. And we see our friend again, nasoni. We actually have a picture of this one on our blog, on the post, I think from 2 or 3 years ago, maybe even older. Of course, guys, check our blog, check our website for news and COVID updates, and our Facebook page and group are updated regularly. We're trying to give you, to keep you in the right mood, let's say. We can't travel physically, but we can at least travel in our heads and enjoy the pictures of modern Rome and old Rome. So yeah, subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is pretty much neglected, but now we're gonna try and revive it. I could not show you this place right here. It's closed right now, and it's a bar, and it's called Ma che siete venuti a fa', which translates to something like, what the heck did you come here for? It's a beautiful bar, believe me, guys. It's a hole in the wall from the outside, but actually it's pretty spacious inside, and it's a great place for you beer lovers. The same thing here, Birreria Trilussa. Birreria means brewery. And there's another very, very nice place, and I always recommend these 3 places. This one is called Beer and Food. No, it's not Beer and Food anymore. They changed the name. L'Elementare. Elementary.
Ognuno chiama le sue amiche, sì, sì.
Of course, takeouts only. Little grocery store, Ercimotto, and this is their little delivery truck slash mascot. Looks pretty cute, especially on this tiny streets here. It looks really nice. Scooters, as usual. This is the best mode of transportation in Rome, in Italy, I think, for that matter. Then another great place is right here in the corner, La Boccaccia. Boccaccia is pizza al taglio, pizza by slice. Alright, very, very nice place. Great pizza. Now this building, of course, summertime, this is green, I mean covered completely, head to toe, in ivy. And it changes color. This is Pim's restaurant. Another church. Another car. And we're almost done with our little walk. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it brought back some memories. The sounds of Rome, the noises of Rome, the scooters. No vendors. There are no tourists, therefore we see no vendors. We're back to one of the ancient gates. Slowly waking up, but still, of course, nothing like it used to be. Well, one day, soon, we hope. Again, hope you enjoyed it. Take care, and we'll see you in Rome.